I hate doing reviews. I didn't do a review on God of War 2018 or God of War Ragnarok despite having access to those games early. I think I shine best on saying how I feel without worrying about a review-like structure. However, when it comes to God of War Ragnarok Valhalla, I struggled so much figuring out how I feel and why I felt the way I did. It took me this long to figure it out, so I apologize for the delay, but I wanted to be true to myself and not rush a video. So I want to start this by saying a quote I first heard in 2001. Building the future and keeping the past alive is one and the same thing. And it's for this reason why I think I love the DLCs so much. Here's what the story meant for me and why I think this DLC is one of the greatest video game stories I have ever experienced. After the death of Zeus in God of War 3, Kratos as a character was always going to change. Throughout the entirety of God of War 3, we saw this rage-fueled monster going through the gods like nothing. However, after his revenge was fulfilled, he stood silently staring into the world destroyed by his own lust for vengeance. It was quiet and it was chaotic. He followed that by doing something we would have never thought he would have done, stabbing himself and giving his life to bring hope back to the world. This moment forever altered the character, intentionally doing something good, and what he thought was the end of his life. Kratos, at this moment forward, was going to change. At the end of Ragnarok's base game, he's confronted with a path we all know he wants to follow, but in Valhalla, we see he didn't and doesn't allow himself to. If he gains power again, he might end up making the same mistakes. There's a theme in the God of War series. That theme is power taking control of you and corrupting you. Ares, for example, wanted more power, and he was ready to wage war against Zeus and the other gods on Olympus. When Kratos became God of War, he became worse than Ares. Power corrupting him and the loss of his family turned Kratos into a force Zeus had to take action against. When Athena died, her soul went to another plane of existence where she was corrupted by power. Now she wants to help Kratos destroy Zeus when once she died to protect Zeus. When Atreus found out he was a god, the information alone was enough to corrupt him. Kratos feels like he needs to face his past in Valhalla to not make the same mistakes. This is why Ragnarok Valhalla's callbacks to the Greek games are not forced, right? They're not forced fan service. It is the story. It is a build-up from God of War 3 that we were long waiting for. It is not cheap to make the players happy, although I'm pretty sure that was a factor in the decision, but Kratos' past has always been a central theme for 2018 and Ragnarok, but it was always kind of put on the back end of the story in my opinion. 2018 was the story of Kratos and his son going through the world for the first time together. Ragnarok was the story of Kratos and his friends dealing with the end of the world. God of War Ragnarok Valhalla puts the focus back on Kratos and his story, not as the back end of the story, but the main plot to push this character forward. A full-on continuation of the god who destroyed the world for revenge, who stood out staring at his own destruction, finally has to attack that reality head on if he wants to be the person he's trying to be. He wants it to be better. God of War Ragnarok Valhalla is Kratos' story, but it's not the only thing that makes it special. It offers a new perspective that I've never actually thought about before. Some have called this a cheap way to change Kratos' past, but to me, it is what I call a undeniable truth. You see, Tyr gives not just Kratos but the player a new perspective. Kratos has always been a character with depth, and they do this with undeniable truths. For example, what if Kratos didn't stop the barbarian king's army? Kratos' entire family and clan would have been destroyed. Whether you want to believe that was the original intention of the writing in the first game or not, it is a undeniable truth that this would have been the result if Kratos had not sold his soul. It is something you can't say is wrong. Why did Kratos give hope back to humanity? He got his revenge. He certainly didn't need to. He could have chopped down Athena, take the Blade of Olympus, and move on with his life. That is the most Kratos thing he should have done. But he decided to stab himself, ending his own life to give hope back to the world. In Valhalla, Kratos admitted he thought this action would be his death. He thought he wouldn't survive, but he did. Why did he give up Calliope to save the world? Saving Helios, these are moments that truly show that he is not a one-dimensional character, with undeniable truths and things that make you the player question. In Valhalla, we also learn Kratos wanted to actually stay with Calliope after he decided to give her up to save everyone else, and a part of him wished he would have let the world be destroyed if it meant he could spend a little more time with his daughter. This level of writing and focus is what makes Valhalla so special. The writers, directors, and narrative decisions to convey a message to not only Kratos but other players is masterfully done. There is more to Kratos than what others saw. However, this is not the reason why I love Valhalla so much. As Kratos was going through this, I realized it's not just Kratos reliving his past. I was as well. Seeing the legions in the DLC reminded me of seeing them back in 2005 for the very first time in God of War 1's opening. Seeing the Harpies reminded me of how much I had to dodge their annoying dive attacks. Hearing the siren for the first time, realizing it is the siren from the desert level in God of War 1 made me absolutely nuts. And seeing the young version of Kratos sitting on the throne reminded me of God of War 1's ending as he sat in that chair. Through every shriek of joy, to the badass quick time events, pulling out the eye of the Cyclops, to destroying Hercules in God of War 3, to remember how I mashed the circle button nonstop when destroying Zeus, because when I was a kid, if I stopped pressing the button too early, Zeus would just come back, so I needed to keep going for the next 5 minutes as I yelled to the top of my lungs in pure excitement. Although God of War Ragnarok Valhalla made me look at these memories and just makes me smile, there is one undeniable truth. We all change. I'm not who I was back in 2005. Kratos is not the same person who sat in that chair, and this is why Ragnarok's storytelling hits so close to home. It puts Kratos and myself in the same position. As Kratos looks at Greece as a terrible reminder of awful mistakes, I look at it as a time where everything in my life was so simple. When my one goal in the whole world was to destroy Ares in the game, and Kratos' goal was to destroy Ares for revenge. This is why I acted the way I did while playing Valhalla, because not only did Kratos change, but I realized I changed so much as well. Even if I wanted to stay in the past, I couldn't be that kid again sitting in front of his PlayStation 2. We all change, we all grow, whether we want to or not. But we have to let go of the past, but that doesn't mean the past is dead and gone. The past always means something. The past will always be alive. We all need to change for the future, to build on those experiences, to be better. Building the future and keeping the past alive is one and the same thing. This is something God of War Ragnarok Valhalla did so beautifully. More so than any other video game I think I've ever played in my entire life. This free piece of content was one of the most spectacular stories I have ever played. And not only is it a great conclusion to Kratos' arc, it is a great conclusion to my own. Who we were is not who we will be. It's on us to choose, the God of War or the God of Hope. It is up to you. We can all be better. We can all build a future and keep our past alive. Thanks for watching.
Well done here then. So, what now?
Now, I believe I would like to sit here for a while.